Welcome to On Second Thought. I'm John Price, and I'm here with our pastor, Jay Hackett, where every week we take a deeper dive into life at Peachtree Corners Baptist Church. Whether we're talking about the latest sermon, upcoming events, or just whatever's on Jay's mind, this is your insider look at our church, our staff, and what makes PCBC your church on the corner. So join our conversation as we help you find community, purpose, and growth. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to On Second Thought. Thank you for tuning in. And we are on, I believe this is episode 24, which is pretty exciting. It is.
That was a good show, by the way.
24?
24, yeah, I heard they're doing
Maybe
a reboot.
we should do this in real time and
reboot?
have like a digital countdown.
Dude, yes.
Because it takes
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you
24
off
hours
there. Yeah.
before we actually start recording. No, we this has been a fun, we were just talking about this earlier. It's a great way to start the week, for one.
Yeah.
We just sit down and have coffee and just talk
and
about the
kind of
weekend.
recap what God did and how cool the...
And then we're like, oh no, we have a meeting in in 30 minutes. Let's maybe record something. So yeah, no, but it was a great week. Last week was kind of our first official week of fall. And so we had most of our adult classes, Wednesday night classes, started last week, and went really well from everything I've heard. I know our men's class that we led, we had a great group of guys, did kind of the intro to the idea behind the book and the concepts in the book of rare leadership. And so I'm looking forward to that. We've already heard a lot of great feedback from those guys. But of course, the bait of Satan starts after Labor Day weekend, that next Wednesday. But we also had the men's breakfast this last Saturday. We had 50 guys sign up. We had a couple that were like, "Yeah, I signed up and slept late or whatever." Their loss, but it was really well attended, a great event, and it was kind of our maiden voyage for the kitchen team.
Yep.
So I had 6 folks helping out.
That's awesome.
They got there, at 6:30 in the morning. We got going, and it was one of our guys that attended the breakfast on Sunday was, that would be a $12 meal in a restaurant. And we gave them a lot of choices, a lot of good stuff, but I was really excited to see how that team just jumped in, and it worked really well. We got the stuff out there, no major mishaps. But we did debrief afterwards and said, okay, what worked, what didn't. And so I think there was a lot of excitement among the team of, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll continue to streamline that. So we'll be doing some of these, calendar event things, but we're also looking to start, kind of a snack meal on Wednesday nights. Again, have a soft rollout after Labor Day. Just real simple stuff, inexpensive, keeping it light. Where folks coming in to drop off kids, maybe to go to their Wednesday night classes, can just sit down, catch up with folks. And
well, I saw that this past Wednesday. There were probably 5 families just sitting in the cafe area. They brought their own food.
Sure, right.
Stopped by Chick-fil-A, went somewhere. But it was just, and that's kind of, I think, your heart behind the Wednesday night thing is not that you're getting a 6-course meal. It's the fellowship, the coming together, hanging out together, just enjoying being around some people and, just kind of letting the kids be the kids. Sometimes you can't do that in a restaurant. But it's easier when we're down in the fellowship hall or something and the kids can kind of play and have a good time and parents can have an adult conversation with somebody else and, just kind of, hey, didn't have to fix something tonight or we didn't have to stop somewhere. We grabbed a sandwich and, maybe a thing of soup or something that, just really.
Well, and it can be a both and. It's fine if they go through the drive-through. Just bring the drive-through stuff and know that we also have. So we'll be rolling out, we'll be promoting it. And I know that in the past, and by the past, 10, 15 years ago,
it's been a while.
It was a big meal. And, we don't have the budget or the the amount of people on the team. I think we had 2 paid staff for that.
Yeah.
But 2, we want to create something sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll kind of ease into it, and we want to target who's actually coming right now.
Yeah.
Which is, the parents and kids. And so getting something in their belly where they can, focus or just have a good night, and they're not having to stress about that, will be a good time of fellowship.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to what that can offer.
You can't go wrong with a good grilled cheese.
Yeah, grilled cheese or sloppy Joe or
my daughter still gets those Griffin.
Yeah,
my college kid is now she still loves a good grilled cheese.
Absolutely.
So
well,
nothing wrong with that.
What's funny? There was a movie that came out a few years ago called Chef, and it was loosely based on a very fancy chef that got kind of burned out, got a food truck, and with Jon Favreau, and at the end, like the rolling credits, the actual guy that played that real life had this food truck was showing John how to make a grilled cheese. And it was such a viral thing that people were sending in photos of making like a gourmet grilled cheese, like 3 or 4 different types of cheeses and how to cook it just right. And so that was like a really big thing a few years ago. So making a good grilled cheese is, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's why everybody tuned in today, was to figure out, okay, how do we make a good grilled cheese? We're going to start our cooking podcast later on in the month, maybe first of the year.
During the credits at the end.
During the credits at the end, we'll show you how to
do that. Yeah, maybe that'll be a future episode.
Hey, let me ask you this. How did, was Nate awake when he spoke to the guys on Saturday morning? Because the football game Friday night went until about 12:30.
Yes.
In the morning on Saturday.
Yeah.
They did kind of hold out and wait. And congrats to Corey Richardson and, getting his first win as the new head coach at Norcross High School.
And that wasn't nothing. That was a pretty good team.
Yeah. Lanier. It was, Keith Malouf's son. Tyler is the coach over at Lanier, and they named the field after Keith Maloof, and so it was a big night. And
are they nationally ranked? Is that the one that they played, or
is Lanier nationally ranked?
One of the ones, I didn't know if it was this game or
a previous scrimmage game they played.
That's what it
Grayson,
was. Okay,
and
okay. You don't have to tell what happened.
No. Let's just be thankful that was a scrimmage. And we learned from those things and we move on. But
so we started after the breakfast part. I kind of shared what was going on with the semester, opportunities that they could jump in, an upcoming work day that we'll promote once we, figure out a good Saturday to have it.
Yeah.
Where we'll have another great breakfast. But then Nate shared kind of, not just about the game and that they were there forever, but some of the stuff, the ways that PCB is connecting with the team, with the school, with FCA. And so that was great for the guys to hear as well. So he did a great job with that. And then they played just some football trivia. So, which I think they had a lot of fun with that as well.
Well, that's always fun.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you guys got to put that together and make
we missed you. Awesome I know week. That you were dropping Griffin off, and you shared with us Sunday that went well, and that it got me when you just shared about how she left little letters.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
and we're so proud of her.
Yeah,
we're getting updates.
So I
well,
left letters for April this morning.
Did you?
Yeah,
nice.
little Post-its that said you missed a spot or
watch this. Yeah.
No, totally did not do that.
John, I wouldn't go home tonight. I just want you to know
all my stuff out on the lawn.
Yeah, exactly. If you have an extra bedroom, let us know. John,
I have a cot here at the church. Okay, moving on. Yesterday's sermon, great sermon. And it's funny, we were kind of talking before how much feedback you got that, this is good stuff. And it was. It got the April 2 thumbs up, but it's one that kind of oddly, and this kind of speaks to, part of learning is relearning.
Correct.
And so part of this is our mission statement is this series of Rooted, the number of people that have been here for years, and we, teach on this every year.
Every year.
It's in our Discover class. And so this was week 3. It was on being connected.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's great. And do you want to share some thoughts on that?
No, it just, I opened up with the thought of the Surgeon General, and I had never thought about the fact of loneliness being the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day,
right?
And it just, you think about.
I tried that yesterday. I tried both. Yeah. Control group, yeah.
Yeah, we joked in our worship planning meeting that the takeaway from that is don't smoke alone. Right. So I was like, I don't want to tell people to go smoke. The reality is, but the effect that would have on your body to think about really is just, bringing you down in so many ways. And we need to have other people in our life. And that's the beauty of what Christ has given us in the church. He's going, listen, you're not alone, you're family.
Right.
And so as family, you're geared to do this together. Yeah. So, come together, find that community. And, it's funny. I had a few people that come up after it and they're like, hey, I really want to be vulnerable, and let's be honest. In life, people tell you all the time, be vulnerable. And then you get vulnerable sometimes and everybody's like, ooh, I don't know if I'd have shared that, or I don't know that I would have, so it's like you pull back a nub so many times and I'm not going to be vulnerable anymore,
Well, and that starts at the top.
It does.
Your leadership creates that safe space. But I had a professor in college. It was, I think, my archaeology and Hebrew professor that said, as a pastor, your people will want you to be yourself until you are. So there is, they kind of want to put you on a pedestal, and there is a scariness to being vulnerable, but it's why I love how you kind of delineated in your points that, the connected to community, which you point out was life groups, the special interest groups on Wednesday nights, different things where you, meet people, get to hear their story. You guys share, lift each other up, encourage each other. But it's what in, education world we call open groups, which means a guest can come in at any time. You can have people try different classes, and that's great. But what that means is you cannot be totally open with everybody in the group. So I love that next point was, connected through care. And that was, I kind of thought of Jesus's disciples, that he had, a really a larger than a lot of times we think of. At the end of his ministry, we talked about the 500, but the 12, or this, and then those three that were the closest, that went with him everywhere, that saw some of those things that the others didn't.
Correct.
And so there, we can't always choose our families or our workplace environment, and some of those are not always the healthiest, but we do get to choose who we let in to our inner circle. So finding those people.
Correct. That you feel comfortable enough to go, hey, can we be real?
Yeah.
And it may not be everybody in the class, but I mean, it could be those 2 or 3 guys that you pull aside, those 2 or 3 ladies that you pull aside and just kind of go, hey, I got to unpack this. I really need some help because I'm struggling here. And you got to feel safe, right? You got to know that, hey, there's loyalty here. So it's going to stay in the group. It's not going outside of these 2 or 3 people that are there.
Yeah.
And then, there's not judgment coming from it. There may be correction. There may be help.
Sure.
There's things that we're not necessarily going to want to do, but it's like, oh, okay, well, if I'm serious about overcoming a temptation, or I'm serious about not falling back into this pit again, I need to put some guardrails. I need some boundaries. I need some help. I need to be able to make a phone call.
Some outside perspective and wisdom from people I trust.
From people that have been,
And that trust takes time. And so, I think a lot of times people can get hurt by sharing their heart with a group that maybe, has not been tested.
Yeah.
And it's good to be in a larger, and larger might be 8 to 10 to 12 to 40. But to have those really close people that you can truly just share.
Yeah.
This is the things I'm struggling with. This is where I'm down. This is where I need some perspective.
And I've had Sundays, where I've had people come up and go, I don't know if I'd have shared that, kind of what you shared from the stage. But, I'm thankful for a group of elders who have my back, who know me very, very well. And even within the elders, I have 3 guys that are an accountability group that are there. So I have those guys in my life who are constantly saying, hey, it's when you get vulnerable, it really helps all of us, because we're like, wow, if the pastor is struggling, wow, we all are struggling. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's just different things that are going on. And then I have my discipleship group, and get to share in there. And, sometimes people want to be in the pastor's discipleship group just to hear, it's like, I want to hear what you're struggling with, because I'm struggling with things too. And so just being able to hear some of those things. And then, but I just appreciate the freedom, that 20 years of being here, and a leadership team, a staff that understands and goes, hey, thank you for being you. Just keep being you. And, but I want that to be an environment in which I can say, hey, I want you to come in, feel comfortable, finding those people, and I remember going back to when we hired you a few years ago, and I told you that out of the gate, and you were like,
deepest regret.
Now, is that legit? Can I really be me? Because I think all of us kind of protect and guard.
Absolutely.
And which is a normal, mechanism that all of us have inside of us. And we're like, I don't know if I ever really let somebody see the real me, the good, the bad, the ugly. I don't know, they're going to run, and certain people may run, but at the end of the day, that group that you get connected with, that you're like, hey, man, I just thank you for doing life with me, the good times and the bad. And, and my challenge this week would be, ask the Lord, give me a couple of guys, give me a couple of ladies that, maybe I've known for a while, maybe I haven't known them for that long, but just that you would give me a heart to be able to say, hey, would you guys be willing to meet with me once a month? Could we grab coffee once a month? Could we grab dinner, lunch, whatever the deal is? And can we try to do life together, and just take that next step? Because, I don't want to be vulnerable, but it's almost like push yourself out of the comfort zone to find that group of people that you can be vulnerable with. Because once that happens, I'm telling you, there's a freedom that comes from that. There's a joy that comes from that. And then you actually do live on mission for God, and you're like, hey, man, this is really cool. I just love what God's doing. And no, I'm not there yet, but I'm one step closer. I'm not who I used to be. I'm not who he wants me to be yet, but man, we're in this process together. I'm not here alone. And you got to come check this out, and when you have that kind of freedom and passion, then the mission statement begins to make sense. And you're like, hey, come check this out. You can be you. You can, come in. Now, God may not leave you there, but you could still have your flaws. You don't have to, the old adage, once you get everything together, then come to church, and it's like, no, I don't think that's how it works, because we can't fix it. Only Christ could fix it. He's the only one that can transform, and so you look at that and just go, hey, man, come see this. Come do life with us. Get connected with us.
Well, and, especially for guys, we tend to be guarded, and being vulnerable is very difficult. We're very fortunate here at PCBC. We have, and I was telling the men at the men's breakfast, when I first came here, there was some frustration around, oh, well, we don't do as many events as we'd like, and that kind of thing. And I said, well, look, what I've noticed about this church is a lot of times with men's things, you do these fun events to kind of funnel people to try to get men to come. And the end goal is to get them into these small groups, where they encourage each other. And I said, there are a half a dozen easily men's groups already meeting. Like I'm in one on Friday mornings that is jam-packed, and there's another one on campus as well. Yeah. That's a closed group. They were like, yeah, we don't have any room for more people. And I've told our group, look, I can do a Thursday if there are folks where that'll fit, that we're continually trying to do those things. But it's kind of like the old story with Chuck Yeager breaking the sound barrier, is that when they were initially trying to break the sound barrier, the turbulence that the pilots would go through, they would either pull back or pull up, and it sometimes it would crash the plane or destroy the plane. Mm-hmm. And they, when Chuck was up there, they had radio silence for a second, lost radio contact with him, and then heard the boom. And then he came back over the radio saying, I mean, the turbulence was crazy. And now it's the most peaceful thing. Mm. Yeah. And so there is something counterintuitive with guys just about being vulnerable. But once you get through that, then it is a beautiful thing. It's really fantastic. So
it's awesome. And that's kind of, the Acts 2 that we looked at Sunday. It was continually, it was daily. It was not just Sunday. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, let me find a rhythm. Right. What works for me? Is it a Tuesday? Is it a Thursday? Is it a Friday? What works into the rhythm of this becoming part of who I am? Yeah. Man, this is who I am. I need to be connected with the body. I need to be challenged. I need to be, called out, comforted. I need all of those things. Yeah. And so, as you find that in that small group, that's really where you get rooted, right? Because when you build those relationships, it's like, man, I'm not pulling out of this. I'm not leaving and going, elsewhere because, man, this is where we've really put down some deep roots, and this is my church. And then that leads to being committed, which we'll talk about. And there's several people, myself included, that probably should be committed, but that's a whole
making a list,
whole different podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of lists, when you were talking about that, the care for each other, I just started writing down some names of guys that I have those kind of connections with, that we build into each other. And just, and I think you challenged us last week or week before, as the leadership team, you need to have 4 or 5 guys that you can say, these are guys I'm discipling, or these are guys that I'm walking through life with. And it's an honor. Yeah. It's an honor to get let into people's lives where you can encourage them, you can be there, you can help lift their burdens, and struggle together and encourage each other. So it's an awesome thing. So it was a powerful message that we needed to be and continue to be reminded of, that idea of God has created us for connection, created us for community. And so the life groups, towards the end, if you said, if you're not in a life group, we want to get you. And April and I both work the welcome desk. And she was like, "Who's working the welcome desk this week?" And I said, "We are. We're going to get out there." I mean, it wasn't our week, but I was like, whoever's out there, we need to help. And Chris Lou was out there. But we had several people ask. Some were first time guests. Some were like, we need to get in a group. So I always tell my life group leaders that we grow our group by cheating, by working the welcome desk. When somebody's like, "Where do we go?" I'm like, "Well, let me tell you." And ours is multi-generational, but we sent some to Jeannie's class, some to Jonathan and Aaron's new class. And those connections, that community is so important. And then getting a smaller group that you can really live life with, be yourself, and help each other out is huge. Yeah. So that vital. Yeah, that would be kind of our action steps, is maybe take stock. What am I missing out on a huge part of my spiritual life and development by not being in community? And we want to get you plugged in. We want to get you plugged into life groups, to our Wednesday night special interest groups, because there are some great groups that are happening there. And then ministry groups. That's another way to build communities, by ministering alongside other people. And we have those as well. So again, thank you for joining us today. It's been a great kickoff to the fall. We're in a great series with the Rooted sermon series, as we go over our mission statement and what it looks like to grow and develop as a believer. And we thank you for all that you do at PCBC. If there's any way that we can help you get connected more, just let us know. But we hope you have a great rest of your day, and God bless. Well, that's it for this episode of On Second Thought. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with a friend. If you have a question or thought, drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to find out more about your church on the corner, check us out at pcbchurch.org. We'll be back next week with more. So until then, have a great week and God bless.